Good morning from Green Glades West. We are super excited because we have 64 high school students from Broward County coming to visit this amazing place. What we do every year is we host Leadership Broward Youth and we educate them on the environment on their Environmental Day. So we are very, very excited to meet these new students and to try to engage them in advocacy for the Everglades.
And I am so proud of my wife, Alligator Allie, for hosting this event for 10 years. Important for these children to come into the environment and see God's landscaping and all the wildlife.
And when you find beauty in nature, you will find beauty in absolutely everything.
Only half of our guests make it out of here alive, but...
We want to welcome the class number 37 of Leadership Broward Youth to Green Glades West. We are so excited that you guys are here to learn about the Everglades, and we hope that all of you fall in love with this place and become advocates for the environment. This property is bordered by Indian land, state land, and federal land. It's one of the largest privately owned parcels, especially with the proprietor, Alligator Ron, who is nothing short of being the next Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. He is amazing. He has a foundation called the Bergeron Everglades Foundation, and the job of that foundation is to make sure that laws are not passed that hurt the environment. As part of getting to know the environment is to become an advocate. You can look up legislation that is being proposed and also constitutional amendments. So those are the things that all of you can do easily by signing petitions, becoming active, and really, really caring about water, the environment, and the wildlife. Alligator Ron?
You know, you go back 75 years ago, 3/4 of a century. I come from Broward County, just like you did in a bus. But I come here actually in an airboat. There was no Alligator Alley, no Indian Snake Road, no levees, no pump stations. I'm the last generation that's seen the Everglades before it was compartmentalized. And that started in 1949, 51 years ago. Our forefathers drew a line and they said, outside the levees will be drained for people to live in agriculture and safety and welfare to the general public. And inside will be protected forever, the Everglades, which is so important to all of us because the Everglades replenishes the aquifer. That's our drinking water, the most important resource on the planet. So even if you live in Fort Lauderdale, you gotta have drinking water, because we're not only saving the wildlife and God's landscaping, we're actually saving ourselves. So Everglades restoration is the largest environmental restoration in the history of the whole world. To decompartmentalize the system and reestablish in this natural flow compatible with the wildlife and the plant communities and God's landscaping is so important. And I hope all of you on this tour will fall in love with the Everglades.
Okay, Ronnie, let's get going. Let's move on.
If you look around, you see the green is Pine Islands. If you look at the gray, this time of the year, in the winter, the cypress changes like a change of seasons. A lot of people don't realize we have a change of seasons in Florida, but most of your landscaping in town is not natural. And in the big cypress, you have 50% uplands and 50% wetlands. Very, very diversified habitat. Water, quantity greater than natural, kills the plant communities and affects the wildlife. Lack of water, same way. So the Everglades every year has a rainy season from June to November. Extremely important, the rainy season. And then we go into a dry season from November to June of the following year. And it's important that you have both, because in the dry season you can cleanse the wetland, because everything dries up, the ground cracks, it aerates, and the silt that forms underwater oxidizes and dissipates. And then here comes the rainy season. So it's really important in Everglades restoration that we correct what our forefathers did from 1948 to 2000 for 52 years, and we reestablish that natural flow of water all the way from Orlando to Florida Bay, 200 miles. Extremely important that we succeed in Everglades restoration so we and your generation and your children in the future will have a quality of life. So I look forward to y'all following the Bergeron Everglades Foundation as we keep posting and educating so you can develop the knowledge, so you have a voice in the future. You have a voice because you know right from wrong. Okay, let's get everybody over here. The Everglades out here is very diversified. 50% uplands, which are pine islands and oak heads. And then we drop down into the beautiful cypress swamps. So when it rains in this environment, it's a rain-driven system, all the water in the uplands sheet flow naturally into the beautiful wetlands. God created one of the most beautiful habitats in the world in the Everglades. And it's up to all of us together, we, to keep learning and be a part of making a difference for future generations and your children to come. You may see this trap here. It was set up because 500 years ago, when the Spaniards landed on the west coast of Florida, they interfaced with the Calusa Indians, and the horses and the cows and the hogs got off the ship, and they entered the Everglades, and they acclimated to the environment, and they multiplied by the millions. So if you go back in history, the first cowboy in America originated in Florida. You would think it was Texas. And that's because of the millions of cattle that multiplied, and they were cow hunters. And they come in to bring the cattle out of the swamps, and they went through the little towns with their whips. And that's why you hear Florida cracker. They're coming through the towns, herding the cattle that they rounded up out in this beautiful environment. So why do we have the trap? Because the hogs have multiplied. They multiply so fast that they throw the balance of the food chain off. So every year we have to trap so many to make sure there's a balance. And we don't take them all out because they actually become important to the panther. Due to loss of habitat over time, it's a supplement for the Florida panther. So we try to balance the food chain, because without a healthy food chain, you cannot have a healthy environment.
Flamingo Gardens, Yesenia and Shannon, and they're going to give us a special showing of some Florida animals.
So nice to see a room full of future leaders in Broward County, right?
These guys are the true hawks of the world. They've been around for 34 million years.
Everybody, please say hello to Daisy. She was out in the wild. She got attacked by a dog with her family.
Obviously, when I'm walking around, you guys are gonna notice that Roni here is missing something. So we assume that this is actually some sort of birth defect on Roni. Check out his belly. A predator from below is gonna have a really hard time seeing his white belly on the top of the water with the sun pointing down.
The great horned owl is known for those ear tufts at the top of their head. That's why they got their name. Doctor Who has zygodactyl talons. That means 2 toes to the front and 2 toes to the back. Whereas a bald eagle has 3 toes to the front and a hallux facing back. This equal grip gives this bird the ability to squeeze over 450 pounds of pressure per square inch.
We look forward to hearing from all of you. You can chat with us through the website, through the social media. Make sure to keep in touch and follow the legislation, follow the constitutional amendments, and pay attention to the environment. It's more important than you'll ever know. Once you fall in love with it, you will find beauty in absolutely everything.
Okay, on 3, we'll be Long Live the Everglades. 1, 2, 3.
Long live the Everglades!